If you're watching this and you're like, this is not interesting, but we can just cut out whatever is not interesting. Today we're going to talk about the tremolo, and we're going to talk about the phaser, and we're not going to talk about the nebulous because I really didn't have that much to do with it. So the first pedal was this beauty. Actually, it wasn't our first pedal. Our first pedal was actually an ABY switcher, and it turned out to be a really bad idea because I sold it for really cheap and I barely made any money on each one, but I had to spend, you know, a portion of every day just making this pedal, which was just a whole bunch of wires, so it was a really big pain in the butt. So really, the tremolo is kind of our second pedal. In high school, you know, Garbage, they had that album. I think it was just like self-titled Garbage. And they had a song called Vow, which has a really cool syncopated rhythm. And we'll play a little clip, but it's like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's not gonna work. So I wanted to make a tremolo that had a syncopated rhythm like that. I'm probably using the word syncopated wrong. I don't care. Yeah, I'm too old to change anything about how I think. After university, you know, I started Empress Effects, and I was doing custom work for people. One friend asked me if I could build them a tremolo pedal, you know, kind of just like a Boss clone. And I said, sure. And I couldn't leave well enough alone. Like, I thought about that song by Garbage, and I thought it'd be really cool to add, you know, some syncopated rhythms to a tremolo pedal. And after I added that, I added tap tempo and the 2-speed. I kept on adding features, and I kept on, you know, telling my friend like it's gonna take a little bit longer. And then finally my friend just bought like a Boss tremolo. So yeah, I think maybe like it took a year to get to the point where I was like, oh wow, this is actually an interesting product that I could sell. So there's 8 different rhythms, 8 different syncopated rhythms. It would have always been nice to be able to like put in your own rhythm, but I could never think of a way to make that happen, which is too bad. Tremolo 3 maybe. Yeah, so the tap tremolo I don't think was really revolutionary. I think there was already some products out there, tremolo products with tap tempo, like the Cusack Tap-A-Whirl had tap tempo. The 2-speed thing, I think, I don't want to say like I know for certain that we were the first ones to do that with the tremolo, but as far as I know we were. So you could set 2 different speeds and then switch between them. And kind of the inspiration for that was my dad's. You know, he has a big Leslie rotary speaker, and it's pretty fun. I mean, one thing about the Leslie speaker is that you can't change the 2 speeds. And so I thought it would be interesting if you could change the 2 speeds. With the tremolo, you have different waveforms like triangle, tube, and square. So a tube was trying to, I took my dad's Fender Reverb 60, is it 65? I kind of forget, but I kind of looked at like how it did its tremolo and tried to mimic that to some extent. And then it had square, which is really choppy, and triangle, which is close enough to sine that it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, so I don't have a good eye for design. And I think that's exemplified in this product, where I was like, yes, yellow knobs on an orange product would be a great idea. I don't know why when I got them I was like, yeah, that looks good, I'll go with that. Hopefully that means it's like a testament to how good the product sounds, that people were willing to buy it even though it looked this terrible. May of 2006 we released the original tremolo, and so 7 years later we were thinking we wanted to spice it up a bit since it had been out for so long. And that's when we started prototyping the Tremolo 2. All the original tremolos had the switches on the back, which is kind of manufacturing pain. So we switched that. Users obviously won't really care about that. But one thing we wanted to do was take the features that we developed with the phaser and move them over to the tremolo. So we added presets, and we also added a control port. And so the control port allows you to control the tremolo. You can either plug in like an expression pedal or a switch, so you could have like a second place to hit tap tempo. You could also send in MIDI. And so basically, because we did this, we had to redo the whole firmware, which as always ended up taking a lot longer than we thought it would. Yeah, so I guess one of the inspirations for the phaser was most phasers on the market were pretty simple. Like they had like one knob or just a few knobs. And so we thought that's covered, and all those phasers are pretty cheap. We can't really compete with them. So let's just go crazy with phaser. And that's where we came up with, you know, the original had so many knobs. we thought that maybe that's a little too crazy. So we backed off a bit and tried to pick the stuff that, you got the most bang for your buck. I think like this is one of the first, this is Phaser prototype revision 1. It has 7 knobs compared to 5. Okay, so the two, I guess it's feedback, yeah, because we scratched it there. So center and feedback, yeah. And we found that like they didn't really do enough to warrant their own knobs. Like you can't really get wildly different sounds by changing the center. I think the feedback I think is the same as the resonance. We were like, okay, you probably only really need like 3 settings for the resonance. And then in terms of the poles, like we started out with 2, 6, and 4 poles, and we ended up with 2, 3, and 4. And I think we just found that having 6 poles doesn't make it sound that much more wild than just having 4.
What do the stages do? Like how do they affect phase?
Each stage is an all-pass filter. Each all-pass filter changes the phase at a certain frequency. It changes the phase from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. But it still passes, it's called all-pass, so it still passes all the frequencies without attenuating them. And then so what the phaser does is it moves that frequency back and forth, and it creates a filtering effect. So the resonance takes the output and feeds it back into the input, so it accentuates that frequency that's being swept back and forth. Hopefully I get that right. Or if I don't, maybe there can be like a flame war.
We have the exclusive 3-stage mode. Do you remember making the conscious decision to have 3?
No, not really. I guess we just had I think it was probably more just a pragmatic thing. Like we have these switches that have 3 different positions. And since we have 4 stages, we're gonna wanna use 4. And then I guess we gotta pick the other 2. And 2 and 3 seems better than 1 and 3 and 1 and 2. So yeah, we originally had a black, instead of this white screen print, we just had black. And we never really noticed it. It's really hard to read. Yeah, which is kind of funny because we did have like marketing photos, and in the marketing photos, you can't really read the writing. You can't even read what that word says, or that word, which is cool. I mean, it's kind of mysterious. But yeah, when we did eventually switch to white, we were like, oh wow, that's pretty wild. Should have done that from the get-go. That's the white one.
Yeah.
So this is a wrap on the second episode we've done on the history of various pedals at Empress. I hope you found some fact interesting that we talked about. We'll be going through more pedals in the coming months. And there's other things he told me to say. I forget what they were though.
Oh, good. That's perfect.
Cool.